Tonight on That's Dark.
Close your eyes, take a deep breath and relax. With each breath, let the life around you fade into the background. Let my voice be your guide. Keep a steady stride. Into the further you go. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's Alyssa.
And Heather.
And if you are an Insidious fan, you will know
That was amazing.
that is the iconic Elise, her speech that she does when she's putting Josh under to go into the further.
Amazing.
So, as you might be able to tell, this is going to be about sleep paralysis. We're going to do some chit chat first, but we'll keep it a little short. But
Yeah.
Insidious is kind of like the first movie to really popularize astral projection. So maybe we should watch that tonight.
Maybe.
It's a good one.
Yeah?
It's a real good one.
Have I seen it?
I don't think
I
you
know
have.
you've been introducing me.
I was thinking about putting on last week, and then we ended up putting on
What
Deliverance.
I don't want.
I didn't like it.
That movie was weird as hell.
I just
You nappy.
dude, it was,
I didn't like it.
I didn't.
But I was like, I have to finish it now. But it was awful, and I didn't like.
It had just. There is just. I don't know what it was. It was missing something.
Well, I know that, I get that it was based off a true story.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking away from that.
No.
But it was it went from it went boring to all of a sudden weird as fuck. That's how it did. Boring. Weird as fuck.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know how I feel about it. And I know that's controversial because people love it. People are going nuts over it. Yeah. Yeah.
I just didn't understand. It was obviously good versus evil. That's fine.
Yeah.
But she got possessed by God.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is a spoiler alert, by the way. So don't listen. I should have done that
spoiler.
Spoiler after I spoiled it.
Whatever.
And all the time.
That if you listen to us,
You're going to want us. We should just have our start of our podcast. There is going to be spoilers of some sort.
That's just what it should be called. The podcast should just be called Spoiler Alert.
Well, we did it again.
We'll just start off every intro, just be like, I'm sorry.
I just didn't like how it was she gets possessed by God, he gets possessed by the demon, devil, and then they have a fight.
I just didn't understand what was, I don't know what it was that it was missing. It was just not, it
the
just
creepy
wasn't.
Factor.
It
had the weird factor.
Yeah.
It had the ooh, that looks gross factor, but it didn't have the creep.
And the storyline, I feel was kind of, you get it, you got the gist of it, but I just think, I don't know, it was just missing something. And I can't.
And the part where I'm gonna only say part where she's like, I can smell your.
Oh my God, dude.
Cut.
I just can't get out of my head when she gets possessed by God. She's like, I'm what on earth?
Except that I have been present in this stuff.
I know,
I have seen it.
Because we were brushing hair, we were watching that when that part came up. I lean over to her. I'm like, is that what you witnessed as a child?
Yes, I actually did. My own mother. Speaking in tongues.
Oh my God.
Oh, Shabaliba.
Oh my God.
When I do it, I feel like I sound like Simlish. Because I'm like, Shabaliba.
I just don't get it. I don't know, dude. It's weird. And then her turning physically into a different being.
Yeah, that doesn't happen, dude. Come on.
No. I mean, if you're, I don't know everything, okay? I don't know everything. Maybe that happens.
I can smell you.
Oh my God, dude. And her teeth. Her little sharp razors. Oh no, dude. It was just.
Oh no, dude.
I just think if you want weird, great movie.
Yeah, it's
great
weird
movie,
and it's based off a true story. I don't know what part. Obviously, I think there's sensationalized because but there is based off a true story, and I think this is the home that Zach Bagans bought the staircase from because it burned down, right? And I know he has a staircase, what he calls the Devil House.
Okay,
so I think that's this
probably
one.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with this one, it was too dramatized. And I think the actual story sometimes would be, I think this in most cases. I feel like the literal story is better than like when they over dramatize like what's happening, because like that shit's scary no matter what. So scary. Like, I don't know. I don't think
shit cray.
Yeah. It was a weird one.
So I'm glad people love it. That's great. It's not for me.
No,
I can't get some things out of that movie out of my head no matter what I do. So
I finally saw the poop flinging scene on TikTok because I was getting up to like put my dog out at that point and I missed it. And Heather saw it and all I heard is, oh my God, what is that? And I'm like, the one time I get up? Like, it's been boring. It's been so boring. And I get up to put the dog out. Jeez. But yeah, I finally saw that. And how he crawls up backwards on the wall is like weird. That's apparently it happened.
It did. Right? Apparently doctors have said, I'm going to cough. Doctors have said that they literally saw him crawl up the wall.
I don't like that.
So
I don't like it.
Talking about poop real fast.
Oh.
Sorry, I have to share this. Maybe I shared this already before, but it was really jarring for me. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what I was watching. TikTok maybe? I don't remember. Yeah. Or YouTube. Don't fucking remember. Anyways, it was something where the lady, I think I told you, the lady was at the checkout and she's like pulling on her pants.
Yes.
And then you literally on the camera see poop fall out and then she kicks it.
No.
Next to the checkout.
No, dude. How's it just come out like that?
Yeah, she was like, and it was like, she's like, kick. I'll never forget it. I'm sorry, guys. You have to be as like scarred as I am.
When I worked at Walgreens, and now this is a little less crazy because he was an old man and I don't think he could help it because sometimes you just lose control. He was on his way to the bathroom, but he did poop his pants on his way.
He did it.
And my manager did have to pick it up and clean it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I felt more bad for him than anything. Yeah. Like, it's not like a nasty person. It's like he can't help it. But I was just like, oh,
okay.
gosh.
But one time I had a mom, like I had a kid come next to me and throw up and made the mom come clean it.
Heather, I would have literally vomited.
Oh, I left out there so fast. And I said, hey, whose kid is this? I was like, clean this up. I was like, no.
I would probably pass out.
Yeah.
I have a massive vomit.
I know you do. I know. You would have been, it was like literally like movie style, like projectile. I'll stop talking.
Oh my God. I did that to my mother when I was a kid. I was real sick. It was coming out of both ends, and I'm on the toilet. She's in front of me, and I just projectile vomit all over her. And I'm like, man.
Haven did it once. It was like a scene in the movie.
Yeah, that's what my mom said.
No, the door was shut. Haven runs into the bathroom. And then all of a sudden, I just hear this retching going on. And then literally starts seeping underneath the door. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, I was like, what's going on?
Are you the exorcist?
What's seeping?
Well, not the exorcist, but the demon from the exorcist.
Are you the exorcist?
Oh my God.
But I am literally this week has been,
oh my God,
traumatizing and other things today.
Really bad. Real bad.
Yeah, it's been a bad week. Yeah, it's been some trauma going on.
Yeah.
I had a hard day, guys. I had a hard day Sunday,
sure did.
And saw a dog get hit and then had to help all the people because I just couldn't leave it. And it was really traumatizing.
Yeah. I don't even know how
trying to get through that.
I just don't even know.
I told you I've had EMDR therapy, so I'm literally doing it to it myself.
I am glad that you are able to do that because I don't think I would be okay. I don't. Oh my God.
I say I'm okay.
Well, you're not. No, there's no way anybody could.
No,
I'm not like a psychopath.
It's gonna have to be some time before I'm like okay after that whole scene. But
God.
It was a rough one. So I'm excited about this podcast because I honestly I know sleep paralysis somewhat, but I do not know astral projection or any of that kind of stuff. So,
well, I want to come at this with two different approaches because you know how I am. You know how I like to always be like devil's advocate.
I was you always play. Always. I think it's good though. I think it's good because it shows that we're not just like sensationalizing anything. No. I
still don't 100% know exactly what I believe, but that's what I think will make great conversation at the end. So I'm going to come at this with two perspectives, one the more scientific approach and then the spiritual approach. So I'm going to start with the scientific approach. And this is probably going to be a longer one because the more I delved into it, the more and more. And then it led into like stuff about the pineal gland. So we're also going to talk about the pineal gland.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's going to just be a whole bunch of interesting. So
let's get it.
Okay. Astral projection, also known as out-of-body experience or OBE, refers to the phenomenon where a person's consciousness or astral body is believed to separate from their physical body and travel through various planes of existence. It's often associated with mystical, spiritual, or paranormal experiences, and many individuals claim to have undergone such journeys. However, it remains highly controversial in the scientific circle due to lack of evidence. So, which obviously, because there's not really a way to fully measure that.
Like, how can you have?
So I don't think we'll ever have evidence because, like, I guess the closest we have is like lucid dreaming, where you can tell, like, you're hooked up to, like, you can see that you are physically, you're able to stay conscious while you're dreaming. So there's that. And that's the closest thing that we can, like, solidify pretty much. So, astral projection is primarily a concept that's rooted in metaphysical and spiritual traditions. Many spiritual traditions believe in a multidimensional universe where consciousness can explore beyond the physical world. So, in my opinion, that just sounds kind of like another dimension, maybe, or like, if you've heard of like the astral plane, so that's what a lot of people believe is like, like your spirit guide could be in the astral plane, or like it's somewhere where you typically like can't, if you're someone like you who can kind of see things, most people don't, but it's kind of like thought that once you enter that plane, it's kind of like the spirit world, kind of in a way.
Yeah, but I definitely know because of speaking, with spirit, there's levels.
Yes.
I do.
And that talks about it. Okay. Talks about it in here too. And that's what I found really interesting about when I was doing like a lot of the spiritual aspect of it. It sounds a lot like what we have heard. Tethers come into play, which I thought was pretty interesting.
That is interesting because we've seen them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the astral plane is thought to be a non-physical realm that exists parallel to our reality, which exactly kind of like a parallel universe type situation.
Various levels.
Yeah. During an astral projection, an individual feels as though their consciousness leaves their physical form and moves independently. People often report being able to see their physical body from a distance, explore different locations, or even interact with other entities in these alternate dimensions, which is pretty interesting.
It is very interesting.
Astral projection typically occurs during states of deep relaxation, meditation, or sleep. It's often described as a vivid, lucid, and controlled experience, in contrast to more passive dream states. So a lot of common experiences are, a lot of people report feeling a sense of weightlessness or rising out of their physical body. A person may perceive their physical form lying in bed or another location, wherever it is that they're like meditating or asleep or whatever. Astral travelers claim to explore both familiar locations and unknown realms, which is what I found extra interesting.
That is.
Some also describe encountering spiritual beings, guides, or other individuals. So nothing, apparently, obviously things that we can't explain or see with the 3D world,
Yep.
Despite being outside the physical body, sensations like sight, hearing, and even emotion are reported during astral projection. The scientific community remains skeptical of astral projection due to the absence of objective oh my god, I can't say that.
Representation?
No. Reproducible evidence.
Reproducible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, brain. What the hell is that? Several neurological... Oh my god! Now my brain is just like...
Reset. No.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Several neurological and psychological factors may account for the experience. So here comes lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis. So many reports of astral projection bear similarities to lucid dreaming, where a person becomes aware they're dreaming and can control their actions, which would be so cool. Like, imagine, like, and like a really cool dream and like just being able to do whatever.
Yeah.
I would love that.
That would be awesome.
And then sleep paralysis, which is a state in which the body is temporarily paralyzed while waking or falling asleep. Can also cause vivid hallucinations and sensations of floating or separation from the body. Dude, I know another person who has experienced this before, and a lot of people claim that they see like what they perceive as like a demon or something. Like a lot of people say they can feel like heaviness on their chest. Some people have like seen someone sitting on their chest, like, and they can't do anything about it. I am so sorry for anybody who experiences that, because I don't even know what I would do. So here's some of the neuroscientific explanations. One is temporal parietal junction, also known as the TPJ. This is the area of the brain that plays a critical role in integrating sensory information and spatial awareness. When the TPJ is disrupted, such as brain injury, epilepsy, or even deliberate stimulation in experiments, individuals can experience an out-of-body sensation.
Okay.
Another is dissociation. So certain psychological states like dissociation, which is a mental process of disconnecting from one's thoughts, feelings, or sense of identity, could explain the individual's feeling of detachment from their body into the astral plane. There's also oh my god, there's a lot of crazy words in here. Hypnagogic.
Hypnotic?
Nope.
Okay, just making sure. I was like, are you?
No. Hypnagogic is the only thing I can think that it is. So hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. Here, I know people are going to be like, learn how to say the word.
You fucker.
You know what? This is the thing, is I did look it up because I was doing the research, and my brain just forgets.
You know what I do though? Just what I do is I literally will do it phonetically.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I put it next to it.
Yeah,
just so I can see it. So
I'll do that next time,
because I do the same thing and then I forget.
Yeah,
and then I'm like,
that was me.
I literally put it in parentheses. So
I'm gonna do that next time. So hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. These are vivid dreamlike experiences that occur when a person is transitioning before wakefulness and sleep, either falling asleep or waking up. These hallucinations can feel extremely real, with experiences of floating, flying, or seeing oneself from a third-person perspective, mimicking the sensation of astral projection. Deprivation of sensory input. Under conditions where sensory input is minimalized, such as in medication or sensory deprivation, the brain may attempt to compensate for the lack of input by generating its own experience. This could lead to the sensation of floating or moving outside of the body. And altered state of consciousness. Techniques such as deep meditation, breath work, and psychedelic substances have been known to induce altered states of consciousness where individuals report mystical or out-of-body experiences. So that makes me think of like when you go to like a shaman or whatever, you do ayahuasca and you have like your whole all of that stuff, which that comes into the spiritual aspect, so I won't go too far into that. So, while astral projection itself remains unproven, related phenomena like OBEs have been studied in controlled environments. Neurological studies, scientists have been able to artificially induce out-of-body-like experiences by stimulating specific regions of the brain, such as the TPJ. These experiences suggest that the sensations of leaving one's body can be recreated through neural manipulation without requiring the existence of an astral body, which confuses me deeply. Also, psychedelics, hallucinogenic substances such as DMT and psilocybin. Psilocybin are known to produce experiences similar to astral projection. Studies show that these substances can affect brain activity, leading to changes in perception, space, and time.
But who says? Who says that them messing with these parts of the brain or these, I know the psychedelics, that it drops that barrier?
Exactly.
So who says that it's just,
right?
You know, I feel like it's happening because
I agree.
The barrier's gone.
Yes. And with what we do know about the brain is we use very little of it.
We do.
And maybe this gives you the ability to use more of it. And what's even crazier is I didn't go down this rabbit hole because I knew I would get lost. I also started reading things about telepathy for these are experiments. So I'm like, are there telepaths here? I'm going to need to know. So that might be my next, I don't know if it'll be my next one because I want to like really go down some rabbit holes for that. But
I think that's from, my experience, because you know what and I have completely delved into it. So now I don't have, but when it initially started, like it definitely was when my barrier was down, like I was going to sleep, but I know I wasn't asleep. Like I was just like, oh, like I'm awake. I know I was awake. There was no like, I didn't float above my body, but like when I saw spirits and stuff, when I was a kid, I saw them all the time. Then when I got older, and then it's like, who, like I said, who says that them messing with that brain is like turning something off and opening that 100%. Barrier to where you can now see? Yeah.
Well, my thing is too, and this is why I keep going back and forth and I don't think we'll ever have a solid, until you die and then see what happens. But and this goes for even a lot of some, like mental illness, because that is another thing that comes in here. A lot of time they'll say like it could be like some people with specifically trauma tend to be able to do this. And I'm like, well, maybe that's like opening something, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kept going back and forth and I'm like,
sometimes I wonder with schizophrenia,
yes,
if it's truly, they are, I understand like that damage, truly is opening them to things that aren't great.
I think they're seeing
that's what
maybe this astral plane that we don't see.
Yep.
I do find it strange that they all do say the same stuff, but that could be more credible. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. But it's
interesting.
It's super, I don't know. So within the field of parapsychology, astral projection is sometimes studied alongside other phenomena like telepathy, remote viewing, or near-death experiences. However, psychopsychology research often faces criticism for lacking rigorous scientific methodology and reproducibility. But that's where I'm like, how can you though?
Yeah.
You can't. I don't think
you can't see it.
This is something that doesn't exist on our plane. No. So I don't think we will ever be able to prove it with the human eye. I just don't.
No.
It's beyond, that's why you have to literally go into a deep meditation.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's something that you could ever reproduce.
I think that when you're like fully aware, right? And if you don't have a gift, like you don't have that ability to see that.
Right.
There's no way for you to view somebody. Yeah, you can see their brain going because their brain is still connected to who they are.
Right.
But you can't like see
what are they doing. What they're doing or what they're
seeing. What are they seeing? Yeah, exactly.
So I do want to say, I'll just finish up this conclusion first and then I'll say what I was going to say. So in summary, while astral projection is a compelling concept in spiritual and metaphysical traditions, mainstream science attributes it to a combination of psychological and neurological factors. These include lucid dreaming, dissociative states, hallucinations, and brain function anomalies. Without definitive empirical evidence, astral projection remains a topic of debate and speculation. Okay, so here's what's really weird. When I last saw Kylie, and remember I've been planning this astral projection for at least like a week and a half or so. I've been saying how I want to cover it. And I saw Kylie a couple days ago, and she was saying, she's like, oh, Ish was talking about astral projection the other day. I'm like, that's super weird. Like, weird. I was like, I'm going to be covering it. So I need to find out where he goes down these rabbit holes and where he finds these papers. Because he's like reading it from like peer-reviewed stuff. Like, it's like legit stuff. And he said that there was some kind of study that they had done where they but they had people go into like sleep paralysis. Mm-hmm. And because you can float around your room when you're out of your body, mm-hmm. they would put things up high, and they told these people, we're like, okay, we put something up here, like, let us know what the color of it is. And when they come back, they could do it. They could tell you what the color was. However, when they just hid something and didn't tell them, they weren't able to tell them what happened. But I think that's because, like, you wouldn't know to look.
You're not
there.
Looking for it.
Yeah. So I found that really interesting that they didn't know what was up there, what color it was, or any of that, but they went into the astral plane and were able to look up top in their cabinet and tell them the correct color.
That makes sense, because exactly, if you're not going to tell
them, you're not. I'm not going to look. You're not going to look at every detail, and like even like this is my stuff that's in my room every single day. I wouldn't be able to tell you exact details of like. I wouldn't be able to tell you everything that's up there, even though I look at it every single day.
Like, I can, because that's due to trauma, though. I scope out everything. I'm like, window, picture.
I mean, like, if I saw it, I'd be like, yeah, that goes up there. But I wouldn't, like, if I was not in my room right now, I would not be able to tell you every single one of those things that was up there and, like, what the colors were and what, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. I think that makes sense. You know, they're telling them, like, oh, when you're under, go look, not under, I guess up. I don't know. Wait,
when you're over. No.
when you're out of your body.
When you're over. When you're out
let
there.
us know.
When you're not connected. When you are connected, actually. I don't know.
All right. So now we're going to get into the spiritual aspect. From a spiritual perspective, astral projection is often seen as a deeply transformative and metaphysical experience that transcends the physical limitations of the body. It is viewed as the ability of the soul, spirit, or consciousness to separate from the physical body, as we know. So, in many spiritual traditions, humans are thought to possess multiple layers of existence. The physical body, which is your body, the astral body, which is the non-physical form that exists of a higher vibration level. And then the soul or spirit, which is the eternal essence of a person, which transcends both the physical and astral bodies. In many belief systems, the soul is eternal and is connected to a larger universal consciousness or divine source.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
With that.
I would agree.
100%.
And I would say what we have been able to learn about the spirit realm, it seems on par with, you know.
It's interesting about the astral body because you know how some spirits can just decide, I'm going to appear this way.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to appear as my younger self.
Right.
Or in this life.
Right.
I'm going to appear as my last life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah. So during astral projection, it's said that the astral body detaches from the physical body, allowing the soul or consciousness to explore other planes of existence, often referred to as the astral plane. So now the astral plane is a central concept in spiritual understandings of astral projection. It's believed to be a realm of existence that vibrates at a higher frequency than the physical world. It's often described as a place where thoughts, emotions, and energies manifest more readily, and time and space may function differently. So I did find this whole, because I was down rabbit holes, as I typically do. And while I was working, I like to find like podcasts or
I do too.
Videos or whatever. And I found this man's channel that is only about astral projection. I find it quite interesting. I don't know if I disbelieve him, but I'm not someone that's just right into like believing. So I do find
ghosts when they say this is a haunting. I don't believe either, because a lot of times it's not. Yeah.
So, but it was very interesting to listen to, and I a lot of what I was reading was kind of lining up with what he was saying. So if I can find, I'm sure I can find him, and I'll try to link it if I remember. I hope I do. But he was saying a lot of very interesting stuff. So the astral plane is said to be inhabited by spiritual beings, which this can include ascended masters, spirit guides, angels, non-physical entities, all kinds of things. Whatever you want to call them, just other spiritual beings. Higher beings. Deceased souls. In some belief systems, individuals who have passed away may exist on the astral plane before moving to their spiritual realms or reincarnating.
I know.
And I believe that.
100%. That is 100%.
I feel like if there was something traumatic or sudden, like, they're probably going to be there. And, that might be who you can see, maybe. Yeah. And I don't know. And then they go to a different dimension or come back here.
They decide to reincarnate.
Yeah.
Or they decide to just chill.
Yes.
Because we do know that there's a place that they can choose to come back from there or, and go there. So.
Yep. And then elemental and astral entities, which are beings that may be unique to the astral realm, including energy forms or entities tied to specific vibrations of the universe.
Okay, dude. I'm sorry. I literally was just dealing with this about how, we've done it before, about how negative energy can create a quote unquote spirit, but it's not,
Yes.
It's just a negative energy that creates
it's just an energy.
It's just an energy.
Yeah, or vibration.
A vibration. That's so interesting because I'm literally was just talking to Caitlin about it because of what's going on at her house and everything. And that is just crazy to think. Yeah, because it can. Look at what we've dealt with.
Yes. Yeah. Huh. Yep. The astral plane is considered to be a plane of learning and growth, where souls can experience deeper spiritual truths, resolve karmic lessons, or commune with divine energies. And I feel like that makes sense. So I kind of feel like the astral plane is kind of it's kind of like limbo, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we going to do here? Mm-hmm. Did you learn things? Are you going to have I don't know.
I wonder if that astral plane where everyone talks is that, how we were told there's that space.
Yep.
That they go.
Yes.
And they can come and go from it.
Yes. I literally thought that when I was doing this. And I'm like, okay.
And that's where they go.
Yes. And that's why I was saying, so much of what I was researching coincides with what we've kind of found along the years of
from spirits.
Yeah.
I was going to put this out here, guys, just so you know, the stuff that we found out, and me and her have never done research in this stuff.
Yes.
We've gotten from our guides, from the other side, and all that. It's just so confirming for me, when I'm hearing this. But continue.
Yes.
Sorry, I just so confirmed.
No, I feel like this is a perfect one to there's going to be a lot of squirrel moments. So interrupt at any time. The astral plane is considered to be I already read that. All right. So, for those who view astral projection from a spiritual lens, it's seen as a tool for spiritual growth and enlightenment. Astral projection is believed to open access to divine knowledge, universal truths, and wisdom that is not available in the physical realm. Many practitioners use astral projection as a means of expanding consciousness and advancing their spiritual path. It can also be for healing purposes. So some people use astral projection to visit energetic healing realms or to connect with spiritual healers. This experience is thought to allow for the cleansing of negative energies, releasing emotional blockages, or even receiving guidance on healing physical ailments. Which, I don't know how much. I don't want to say I don't agree.
How much does our mind control things, though?
Exactly. And I'm not sitting here being like a lot of the Christian places, someone who's paralyzed. Oh, God made you walk, not like that. I don't believe that. And I don't want to say I don't fully believe it because I do think your brain is so powerful and we don't know what it's capable of. Yeah. We really don't. But I don't think it in that way. But I do know how important your mental state is when it comes to your physical health.
Absolutely.
So even when it comes to like autoimmune disorders and not all, I'm not trying to sound like I am ignorant to things. I'm not taking away from people's illnesses by any means at all. We both deal with a lot of crazy stuff with our health. So
absolutely.
We are not coming from this and being like, oh, stuff doesn't exist. You can just change it with your mindset. It's not that easy. But I do think your brain is very, very powerful. And I find it interesting that that's something that some people use it for.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, though. And they've done studies and it actually like, that would be a whole thing because I feel a certain type of way about how we treat cancer in America.
Yep.
That's a whole thing because I feel like sometimes we actually kill people, but that's beside the point. But they did find that people that didn't know they had cancer like lived longer than people that found out they had cancer and then started getting treated. I just thought that was interesting.
It's interesting.
Like live with kind of the same cancers. And I was just like, that
is interesting. And that is also the same with like when they do placebo effects or, placebo pills or like, and that shows you how powerful your brain is, like when you're aware of something, you can kind of hyper focus on it and
negative. You'll feel so, I mean, how could you not?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I couldn't imagine, I like when I found out I had MS, like I was like, oh my fucking God.
You think,
But then I was like, well, I'm just gonna,
And guys, like you would never I would never know that you had MS ever in my life if you didn't just tell me that, and again, not taking away illnesses from people and I mean, debilitating.
And I take my shots.
Yes,
and
100%.
I take care of myself, but I also just keep that positive mindset. Like, it's not when I was like having those leg problems, I'm like, no, not going to beat me, And then so it's just crazy to me though. I very much believe that your mind can do a lot. Can it do everything?
No.
Can it, if you have something seriously wrong?
No. Yeah. And also, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, just be positive because sometimes like you can't. And I will say like, and I don't know 100% what goes on with my body because I don't go to the doctor, guys.
She doesn't.
I'm, and I don't have insurance right now. So that's a whole other topic. But when I have my episodes where I definitely there's days I cannot move. I don't want to get out of bed. I just want to sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep more and sleep more. I can't be positive in those moments because I'm just like,
your body doesn't.
I'm mad. I get mad because I think like what I used to be able to do and now I can't do it and I get pissed. So we're not sitting here being like, just be positive.
No, God.
So
just saying that the brain is crazy. I think that's what I'm just
very powerful.
Very powerful.
Very powerful.
Very powerful.
It can also be used for karmic understanding. In traditions that emphasize karma and reincarnation, astral projection may be used to explore past lives or gain a deeper understanding of karmic patterns and lessons. By visiting the astral plane, a person can reflect on their soul's journey across different timelines and resolve unsolved karmic debts. And then when I read that, I'm like, I kind of want to do that.
I do that too.
That's kind of iconic.
We both with our past life. And then I died. And then I died. And then I got
my head cut off.
And then I got killed by my husband. I'm going to do better this life.
Yeah. It can also be used to connect with higher beings. So many practitioners use astral projection to communicate with spirit guides, angels, ancestors, or even higher aspects of their own soul. This connection,
makes sense because you're coming in touch with who you truly, the you that knows everything without the barriers of your body. That makes sense to me.
I think I sent this video to you a really long time ago. It was the firefighter who literally died. And when he talked about it, and he literally said, because his name on Earth was Bill, and he literally said when he was, what he explains in what sounds like to be the astral plane, said, I don't identify with this Bill. I love him, but it's not me. And I'm like, that is crazy. Like, I'm going to try and link like a very small clip, maybe at the very end, if I can get it in here, because it's so interesting. But I listened to the whole video today because it's like someone, I can't remember his name, Alan something Chapman, I think it was, interviewed him. It's the full interview is on YouTube, and
it's so interesting.
It's so, it really is. So crazy.
But I just have to say, you know how he's like, I love him, but I don't. Think about like, say like a guide, right? Even if they were in a body at one point in time in their life and they're not anymore. Like, I feel like the longer you're out of in that realm, the like when you were talking about emotions earlier, their emotions are so vastly different than what our emotions are.
He even said that. He said when he got into that, whatever, I'm just going to call it the astral plane, no negative emotions, no like jealousy, no like ego. You have no ego.
No.
Like this is your ego is like your body pretty much in a way. And he's like, it's all gone. It's all just like, he just kept calling it like vibrations, like just positive vibrations and like just positivity.
But it's even out of the realm of what we understand. Because we think, oh, happy. But when I deal with a guide, they don't go on that level.
Yes.
They just do not.
He even said, he's like, there's no way to really put it. He's like, you get small blips here and there of like really good things happening to you that you can kind of experience the feeling, but you can't experience that until you're there. And I thought that was crazy.
That is very crazy.
And then also they use it for manifestation and co-creation. So the astral realm is believed to be a plane where thoughts and intentions take form more easily. Some use astral projection to engage in conscious manifestation, setting intentions or goals that are then brought into the physical world through the power of focus, thought, and energy alignment. And then I'm like, is this what these bitches are doing that say, I am... You know what I mean?
I
manifested it. And then I go to bed and I like manifest it and nothing happens. Like, are y'all just astral projecting over here?
In their bed, they're like, acting out. And they're like, send me the love of my life. It's coffee. That's what I do.
Like, if you listen, like Ariana Grande, it's like, I just like manifest everything. And I'm like, well, what do you do?
I mean,
like,
she's got a lot of money. Maybe she's getting put under.
Yeah.
Like, you know, maybe shaman or some
peyote or
peyote,
ayahuasca.
Thank you. I was like, why can't I say the name?
I'm just
and then she's like she's like, oh yeah, make this happen, back in.
But see, here's the other thing I was just listening to a podcast because I listen to a lot of psychology podcasts. I was listening to this psychologist, and he was talking about how that is everywhere now. There's not one influencer that's like, you got to manifest and positive affirmations and la 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 la. And he's like, it's not a bad thing. He's like, if you do it and it helps you, I will never say stop doing it. He's like, I would never prescribe it to someone though, because he said it perfectly. He's like, if you were able to just say affirmations and have things work in your favor, you don't have a problem. Okay? So, like, you got people over here who don't have a problem and can literally manifest things more easily on their physical realm. And then you have people over here, like me, it's like, why doesn't it work? what the fuck? You know what I mean?
We're doing everything.
Yeah. So, and I loved how he put it. So I thought that was, he's like, it's not a bad thing though. It's not like, you know, he's like, I'm not going to tell people not to, but he's like,
I think that he's mainly saying like, you need to put the work in too.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
That we
100%.
We obviously know with the craft. Like,
you can't just say, I want to have $1 million and then not do anything.
Yeah.
You know, you have to
be like, oh,
yeah,
why don't I have it? You know, you have to put in the work, even when it comes to like what people think that like witchcraft is and stuff like that. It's not like they can just produce these. It's literally, I almost think a lot of times it's just putting that ritual into your head, which then your brain, your mind, then takes that and creates that and forms it, you know?
Yep.
So
I think some people are can more easily access this astral plane than others. And I think when I talk about the pineal gland and the calcification of it will come into play. It's a theory, you know, we'll talk about.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll save that for when I talk about that. But okay. So many spiritual traditions offer specific techniques for astral projection, often rooted in ancient practices. One is meditation. Deep meditation is one of the most common methods to achieve astral projection. The practitioner quiets the mind, relaxes the body, and raises their energetic frequency, allowing the astral body to separate naturally. Focused intention and visualization techniques are often used to guide the astral body through different dimensions. So when I was listening to the guy who has this whole channel dedicated to astral projection, he said what a lot of the time people try to do is they try to astral project and they do it at nighttime, like before they go to bed. Mm-hmm. And he said the best time for this is between the hours of 3 and 6 a.m.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
The witching hours.
Yes.
So those are the best times, and it's better to do it when you have already been into REM sleep.
Yeah, REM sleep.
So it's not, he's not saying it's impossible to just meditate and then have it happen, but it works better, especially if you've never done it before. It's best to do it when you know, like when you get up, how you feel when you first wake up when you have to pee at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And you're like awake, but you're not awake. That's the time to like do it.
Interesting.
And he said to focus on quieting your body, like having it to the point where you don't move your body. Like even if you had an itch, like you're not going to move.
Don't touch it.
And not fall asleep. You want to stay conscious, but sleep, if that makes sense. It's very different.
You're going to relax your brain. Yeah. You're going to not move your body. Mm-hmm. You're going to be conscious that you're not moving your body, but you're going to relax your brain. Mm-hmm. I understand what they're saying. I think I'm going to have to try this because that's interesting.
And it's very interesting that some people do it without trying.
I know.
Some people have had that happen. Diana actually had that happen to her a long, long time ago. Like before I even really understood any of this, she was talking to me about it. And so there's the people who unintentionally do it, either by falling asleep or near-death experience is another time that people...
Makes sense.
People are out of their body and looking at their body. You know, like how many times... That's
so many
number
times.
one. That is the thing you hear. But when people have died for a couple of minutes or like... They always say...
Always. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting you say that because I've heard accounts where they can literally account for things they saw in the room that where they were laying, there's no way they ever saw those things. And they can talk about people that were in the room, but yet they don't come to until they're in their other room.
Yeah. Or think of people in like comas.
Yeah.
And like to us, we think they're not like there, but they can tell you like, I remember you coming into my room every day. And like, you know what I mean? Like it's super, super interesting. So another way is through breath work and energy work. Practices such as pranayama, which is breath control, or chakra balancing, help practitioners align their energy centers, which is known as your chakras, and raise their vibrational frequency, facilitating the astral projection process. Working with energy systems such as Kundalini energy can also trigger out-of-body experiences. Dude, I have to say, there was a period of time where I started doing Kundalini yoga. And I don't know, I think I told you about it, and it's breath work.
Yes.
It's a lot of like mantras that you chant. And I remember explaining it felt like a vibration. Like I'm going to have to do it. Now that I kind of understand this more, I kind of want to do it again and try. But
you're raising your vibration.
Yeah. But it's just like a very weird feeling. And I guess that's one way you can also kind of astral project. Another way is through lucid dreaming and sleep states. So some spiritual practitioners consciously project their astral body during sleep or through lucid dreaming, which is where you're aware of what you're doing in your dreams. By becoming conscious during a dream state, the dreamer can shift into the astral plane and explore spiritual realms. Now, I want to talk about the YouTube person I found again. So he was talking about there's levels to astral projection. So the first is, you lay down, you meditate, whatever form of meditating you're choosing to do. And then you get to the lucid dreaming stage, where you can become aware, and change things. The sleep paralysis stage,
which is more intense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where your body's not, your physical body's not moving. And my assumption would be because your spirit is
leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get to the astral projection where you are out.
Yep.
And yeah. So I find that quite interesting. So that's another thing that after I did more research, what he was saying made sense and kind of like coincided with each other. So the more I dove into like reading things, I was like, okay, I don't think he's a quack.
No. Dealing with the spirits that I've dealt with and the energies that I've seen. Like when people talk about when they're in sleep paralysis, what has happened to them, the weight, I have seen things like that not asleep.
Yeah.
I've seen things so I believe personally that is not a dream. It is that you are in a state where you can be more easily accessed.
Yes. You can access the astral realm.
Yeah.
Not when you're asleep, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So, which is possible even through because they say with breath work. So even if you were to you should try Kundalini yoga.
I should try it.
I feel like that would probably work really easily for you since you can kind of naturally just be in that realm.
I don't always want to, but I just go there.
Well, you might as well harness it all. Yeah. I do want to say the one thing I have to critique this channel on is he talks about astral projection like it's just willy-nilly. It's and he literally said anybody can do it, which I believe that anybody has the ability to, probably. Whether they should or not, I disagree with. And he was going on and on about how it's in all of his videos, he's it's harmless, it's blah, 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 blah. But then, and the one that he was explaining how to do it, he was talking about how you gotta be careful. And I'm yeah, because you're literally leaving your body without your spirit in it. And then you can quite literally have what happened in Insidious happen. Yep. Which nobody wants.
Nope.
So, but he talked, and this is where the tethers come into play. He said, he's okay, so most of the time, people who do it for their first time, they just explore their room, float around their room, and they look at their body, and oh, that's weird, and then maybe the next night they'll explore their street. And then the next time they'll explore the next city, and then they can go to Japan the next time. Because time doesn't exist on that plane the same way it does. There's no physical limitations. Nope. You can just float on over to Japan, which I got to do that.
I know.
That's how I'll be able to go to Japan. But he was saying, he's you'll never get lost because you have a silver tether to your body. Yes. Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. And he's specifically silver. I don't know if everybody's a silver, but he makes it sound like
when
it's silver.
Met Michaela at that one night, the tether I saw between me and her was silver.
That's crazy. Well, there you go. Quite interesting.
This is just this podcast
solidifies
today. I can't speak. Solidifies. I mean, even though I already knew it, it's you're saying this stuff. I have never looked this stuff up. I know. And it's all the things that I know.
It's how I felt. It is how I felt. As I was researching, I'm wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy because this is stuff we literally asked a Ouija board 2 years ago.
Yep. And we're given these answers 2 years ago.
Very weird.
And I continue to get these answers as I go on the board. So I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Very.
So, but yeah, that's my one critique on him is I think you have to be in a good headspace.
Oh yeah.
And I do think it's possible for you to get lost. I don't think it's easy. I don't think it's just oh, you'll never get lost. You just follow your tether. No, I think that as we know, well, we don't know, but as people have explained of the things that could be in the astral realm, it's, spirit guides, positive beings, people who pass. But then there's also beings that are just in the astral realm that we don't know.
Yeah.
And I just don't, I think you have to be in a really good headspace for it.
But also, because what if also you don't want to come back?
Right.
If you don't want to.
Yeah.
What if some people who pass away just because they left their bodies and didn't want to come back?
That's a crazy thought.
You know what I'm saying? They're I'm good. I don't want to
That's a really crazy thought.
Yeah.
See, that's what always...
have unexplained deaths sometimes.
Yeah.
Where they're just I don't know.
Yeah.
This person died.
Oh my God. That's going to send me down a whole other rabbit hole. But that's why it scares me. I don't think there's anything wrong with people who choose to do DMT or when they go to a shaman. No. I think all power to you if you want to, whatever. I've always been scared of it. Because I feel like it is quite literally putting you in astral projection. I think that's quite literally what it is.
I think so too.
And I think you have to be and they even say that you have to kind of be in a good headspace to do that.
Same with meditation.
Yeah.
You have to be in a good headspace to take you to where you need to go.
Right.
I also want to say the same with spirits. I believe everyone can see spirits if they wanted to. Do I believe everyone should? No, because it does open up so much. Like once you become aware, it opens up so much that it's a lot. And so if you're not in a good headspace or you're not prepared for that, like, because there's people on YouTube who literally go through steps about like how you open your third eye.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But like everyone shouldn't.
I agree.
You know,
it's just like I put it into the same thought process of not everybody's cut out to be a cop.
No.
Not everybody's cut out to be in the military. Not everybody is, you know what I mean? And I'm not comparing the two. I'm not saying you're like a cop or a military person when you
could be both.
Yeah.
And that's fabulous.
But I think you have to, I think there's a certain person. And I sometimes think that that's why some people have the ability more naturally and some don't. Me? I don't think I'd be okay if I saw half the shit you saw. Like, I think there's a reason I don't. And I don't really care to.
Do you remember that voice in the corner of your room? We were talking and it just answered. It was a woman. Do you remember that?
Yes. And I'm just like...
And you're like, what the hell? And I'm like, you heard that too?
Yeah.
What did she say? She was like, I agree, or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It was something like, we were talking about something and she's like, basically agreed. And your face though, you were just like,
no, please no. I acknowledge you guys. I respect you guys. Please just keep it minimal.
Yeah, they don't keep that. They don't keep those boundaries with me all the time. So,
but also with my guide, he is the same way as me. I think he knows me. I think that's why he's like, stay out of here.
Frank's like, yeah, you know what? She's gonna take care of it.
She'll be fine.
Get on.
She's got it.
Get on.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last technique is ritual and intentions. So some traditions employ ritual prayers or invocations to call upon spiritual beings or guides for assistance in astral projection. This is often combined with protective practices to ensure the astral traveler is shielded from negative energies. Okay, so here's some of the dangers of astral projecting. So the astral plane is believed to contain various entities, as we've already talked about, some of which may be lower vibrational beings, which can cause harm or drain energy from astral travelers.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Spiritual protection techniques such as surrounding oneself with light or invoking protective guides are often recommended. Now, this is one thing I found interesting because a lot of the time they say like there's no... And when they say there's no negative emotions, what I think they mean is negative emotions as we know it in our present world, like jealousy, like you know, like I don't think that exists in that realm. Nope. That does not mean there is no lower vibrational energies.
In their realm, there's no good or bad,
right? And this is what I think
could be perceived as bad to us,
right? And this is kind of what I think maybe is like, you know, the astral the astral plane type entities that are just there only. Maybe they're just lower vibration. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're great. I don't know. But that's the first thing I thought. But I know when I was reading that, I'm like, I thought there was no negative emotions. But I think what their meaning is there's no negative emotions as we know it.
Their emotions are not.
Very different.
They are very different. When I speak to them on the board, it's a very different thing than if I was speaking to you. You know? Okay. Unless they were newly passed away. Right. And they tend to have that connection. Yeah. But if you talk to like a guide or something like that, it's very different. Very different. Very cut like and stark dry, difference. Matter of fact, you know, like very different.
Mm-hmm. And I think that also, remember what I was telling you about what I read somewhere about with like guides, like when you ask like the universe for like a sign or something, they give you a feather and you're like, what the fuck does this mean? To them, like, they know what that means. Yeah. And they're like, it's a feather.
Like, you know.
The feather.
Because the higher you would know. And they're like, you know. And you're like, I don't fucking know. And they're like, yeah, you do.
And they're like, how many feathers do we have to give this bitch?
How many feathers did I get? Let me tell you.
So I think it's kind of the same. It's like your emotions they're not gonna translate.
No, they're not. It doesn't. And that's something that was so interesting to me because I wanted to, I wanted that, I wanted to be like when I was talking to our guides, like when I was talking to Frank, I wanted to be all like,
and it's
squishy and it's
no, it's not.
It's not.
No.
Like he just comes on, he's like, bye.
Yeah.
Like that's how he is.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And then another concern is obviously disconnecting from your physical body, which like we were talking about. These are concerns about becoming too detached from the physical body or finding it difficult to return. However, most spiritual teachings assert that a silver cord connects the astral body to the physical body, ensuring a safe return, which, I think is great. Probably works for a majority of people, but I do think that there's those outliers that it may not work for. I think you have to go at it at it's not something that should just be willy-nilly.
No.
It's not something everybody should do, in my opinion.
Willy-nilly. And we don't do willy-nilly.
No, we don't.
Willy-nilly.
Absolutely
Never
not.
happens.
Never again.
I should call Willy willy-nilly. I never thought about that.
You should. He'll not like it.
No, he won't. He'll be like, I'm not talking to you.
No.
Willy-nilly. Oh, the willy-nilly.
All right. So astral protection across spiritual traditions. So the first is Hinduism and yoga. In yogic traditions, astral projection is linked to the concept of samadhi, a state of meditative absorption where the practitioner transcends the physical body and connects with the infinite consciousness. It is often practiced as part of a spiritual ascension. Then there is Theosophy, which is the spiritual movement, which combines aspects from Eastern spirituality and Western mysticism, emphasizes the idea of the etheric body or astral body as a subtle form that can travel between planes. Astral projection is considered a way to explore hidden spiritual truths.
Absolutely.
And then shamanism.
Yeah. Shamans
often engage in what's called in the soul flight or spirit walking, where the shaman spirit leaves the body to journey into spiritual realms for healing, guidance, or divination. This is a form of astral projection often used to commune with astral or ancestral spirits or natural beings. And then Taoism, which in this tradition, astral projection is known as Yang Shen, which is spiritual traveling. It is viewed as a means of achieving spiritual immortality, where the practitioner develops the ability to leave the body and explore spiritual realms freely. So that is the spiritual meaning. Obviously, you can go way more in depth with that than the scientific, because there's not a whole lot of scientific stuff to really back it up. But that is about just the astral projection. And now I have the pineal gland. Unless you have anything in comments. I feel like
it makes sense.
I do too.
I do.
I think it totally makes sense.
Because everything that they said just makes sense, because it's exactly what I've experienced not being an astral projecting. Makes sense to me.
Not ever researching this stuff.
No,
I mean,
the
extent of my research into astral projection is watching Insidious. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the extent.
I've never done anything with it.
I think it's really cool that they kind of put it on. Obviously, they didn't put it completely on the map. It's been a thing forever.
Yeah.
But I would say, in terms of pop culture, I feel like they kind of popularized it. And I like that, which is cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now about the pineal gland, and we'll talk about the scientific part, of course, or medical, I guess you'll say, with the pineal gland. So, it is a small pine cone-shaped endocrine gland located deep within the brain, near the center of the brain between the two hemispheres, nestled in a groove where the two halves of the thalamus join. It's part of the epithalamus and plays a crucial role in regulating biological rhythms, particularly with sleep-wake cycle through the secretion of the hormone melatonin.
Oh.
So the functions of the pineal gland are obviously, like I said, melatonin production. The pineal gland's primary function is the production of melatonin, a hormone that regulates the circadian rhythm, which is your internal clock.
Yes.
The production of melatonin is influenced by light, particularly blue light. Mm-hmm. During the day, light signals are received by the retina and transmitted to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, also the SCN, and the hypothalamus. The SCN then sends signals that suppress the release of melatonin. And then at night, when the light levels decrease, the pineal gland is stimulated to produce melatonin. Melatonin promotes sleep and signals the body to prepare for rest by lowering body temperature, reducing alertness, and triggering other sleep-related functions. It also regulates the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is the 24-hour cycle that governs various biological processes, including sleep, wake cycles, hormone release, and body temperature. The pineal gland plays a central role in regulating these rhythms by responding to light and dark cues from environments. Disruptions to the circadian rhythm, like jet lag or shift work, so like night shift people, can lead to sleep disorders and affect overall health. I've always heard that people who work, sorry, Kylie, I know you work night shift. I've always heard people who work night shift typically don't have as long of a lifespan because it goes against biology and like, you know, your typical circadian rhythm. Role in reproduction, which is crazy. In some animals, the pineal gland helps regulate seasonal reproduction by detecting changes in day length. In humans, melatonin is thought to influence the onset of puberty. Although its role is not fully understood, the gland is more active in children, and melatonin production tends to decline with age, which may explain why older adults often experience sleep disruptions. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about the pineal gland and calcification. The pineal gland often becomes calcified as people age, leading to formation of calcium deposits commonly referred to as brain sand or corpora arcacea.
I don't want brain sand.
Nope. While this calcification is considered normal, its functional implications are still a subject of research. Some studies suggest that calcification may reduce the gland's ability to produce melatonin, potentially contributing to sleep disorders, mood disturbances, and even some neurological conditions. Calcification of the pineal gland is more common in developed countries, which we'll get into. We'll get into a little theory of mine. And may be linked to various environmental factors, such as exposure to fluoride, which can accumulate in the pineal tissue.
Okay.
Well, you know where I'm going.
I know where you're going.
Evolutionary perspective. So in evolutionary biology, the pineal gland is often referred to as the third eye because it shares structural similarities with the eyes in some animals. In reptiles and amphibians, for instance, the parietal eye, also called third eye, exists, which is sensitive to light and helps regulate circadian rhythm and other psychological functions. While humans do not possess the parietal eye, the pineal gland is still photosensitive and in an indirect way, responding to signals from the retina about light levels. So some of the pineal gland and their diseases would be sleep disorders, obviously dysfunction in the pineal gland, particularly issues with melatonin production, can lead to sleep disorders such as insomnia, delayed sleep phase syndrome, and jet lag. Melatonin is typically used to treat that.
Yeah.
Mood disorders. Since melatonin levels influence sleep, they also indirectly affect mood, obviously.
Yep. Disruptions
in circadian rhythm have been linked to conditions such as seasonal affective disorder, depression, and bipolar.
Oh.
So, for example, shorter daylight hours in the winter lead to decreased melatonin production, contributing to depressive symptoms.
Yeah, definitely. They put sun lamps in Michigan in your like house because of the
or like Alaska with the 3 days of night.
Yep.
I love nighttime, but I would go crazy. I
don't want all nighttime.
No. No. Then neurodegenerative diseases too. So some research suggests that the pineal gland plays a role in degenerative disease, which is your Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stuff like that, possibly due to the role in regulating sleep and circadian rhythms, which are often disrupted in these conditions. And then tumors. Although rare, tumors of the pineal gland known as pinealiomas can occur. These tumors can affect melatonin production and may lead to neurological symptoms such as headaches, nausea, and vision disturbances due to their location near the critical brain structures. So research into the pineal gland is ongoing, particularly regarding the role of sleep, mood, regulation, and aging. So some of the areas of interest are the relationship between pineal calcification and neurological psychiatric disorders, melatonin's role as an antioxidant, and potential protective effects against disease like cancer, neurodegeneration, and cardiovascular disorders.
Well, I've always been, it's like an old saying, but sleep heals.
Yes.
It's a proven thing that sleep heals. And that's so it makes sense to me that you need that melatonin so you sleep and then your body can reset.
Yeah. It's like that. I don't know if you ever heard about that Russian experiment where they sleep deprive people and like how literally crazy and feral they turn.
Yep.
So yeah. The potential for melatonin to help regulate immune system function, with some evidence suggests it may have anti-inflammatory and immunomodulatory effects. So that's the overall medical view of the pineal gland, which I think kind of still coincides with the spiritual, just like how astral projection, I think. Okay, so in the spiritual sense, it's referred to as your third eye. It holds deep significance. Oh, well, okay, Alexa. Alexa, off. That's weird. Okay. All right. So, in spiritual traditions, it holds deep significance across various metaphysical, religious, and esocentric systems. It's believed that it's a key connection point between the physical body and higher spiritual realms. So, the pineal gland is frequently associated with the third eye or the Anja chakra. So, your chakras, all that. Yeah. Which is in Eastern spiritual traditions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. The third eye is considered the center of intuition, psychic abilities, and spiritual vision. It's thought to be the point where the mind connects with the spiritual energy and higher dimensions of reality. In yogic traditions, the Anja chakra, located in the middle of the forehead, is located to the pineal gland, and the energy center is associated with clairvoyance, spiritual insight, and the ability to perceive truth beyond the material world. Awakening the third eye is said to allow an individual to see beyond illusion and gain access to higher knowledge and universal truths. Spiritual perception. Many spiritual traditions assert that the pineal gland is responsible for our ability to perceive the spiritual dimensions. As the seat of our soul or spiritual consciousness, it is seen as the key to accessing heightened states of awareness, enabling experiences such as astral projection, lucid dreaming, and spiritual visions. So I would say you've got a pretty good pineal gland, if you ask me.
I got a good pineal.
All right, so now we're going to talk about pineal gland as the seat of the soul. One of the most famous ideas regarding the pineal gland's spiritual significance comes from the 17th century. From a French philosopher. Yes, from a French philosopher and mathematician, René Descartes, probably not Tez, who called the pineal gland the seat of the soul. Descartes believed that the pineal gland was the point where the physical body and the soul interact, bridging the gap between material existence and the immaterial essence of consciousness. From the perspective, the pineal gland is seen as more than just a physical organ. It's regarded as the central point for spiritual experience, where the soul and spirit reside in a body. In many spiritual teachings, the pineal gland is considered essential for spiritual awakening or enlightenment. It's known to allow individuals to experience intuition and inner knowledge, divine connection, and psychic abilities. The pineal gland and light. The spiritual teachings, the pineal gland is sometimes referred to as the body's light receptor. Though it has a photosensitive properties in a biological sense, responding to light and dark cycles, it's also considered in spiritual context to be the gland that perceives spiritual light, the light of higher consciousness and divine wisdom. Many mystical traditions emphasize the importance of light, not only as the physical entity, but symbol of enlightenment and truth. All right, so the decalcification of the pineal gland and modern spiritual practices, there's much discussion about the decalcification of the pineal gland. It's believed that over time, the pineal gland becomes calcified due to lifestyle factors, environmental toxins, such as fluoride, and stress, reducing the spiritual function. Many spiritual seekers aim to reverse the process through various practices in order to restore the pineal gland's full potential for spiritual growth. Common methods for decalcification are meditation and mindfulness. So regular meditation, particularly focused on the third eye or the Anja chakra in yogic practices. Also, diet and detoxification. A diet rich in antioxidants and detoxifying foods is believed to help decalcify the pineal gland. Avoiding substances like fluoride and processed foods is often recommended in spiritual circles to support the gland's spiritual activation. Now, I know fluoride has always been very controversial. Yeah. Do I think it helps with teeth stuff?
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
I believe it. I do remember always being at the dentist and it was fluoride and they're like, don't swallow it.
Yep.
Don't swallow it.
Don't swallow it.
You know, it's for your teeth, you know, but why it's put, and I went down this whole rabbit hole because Kylie and I were talking about this the other day. And she was saying that she has a friend who in Texas, it's in their water.
I was going to say, people have issues because it's actually put in water.
And here's another crazy thing. One of her other friends has a kid, so she knows this because she would buy baby water. It's in baby water.
Baby water. Sure is.
And so I don't know how I feel about it. I don't want to say I don't like fluoride because I think it's helped a lot with teeth.
But why can you swallow it now?
Right.
Because it was very much
because they say it's a watered down version and it doesn't harm you. And so here's what Kylie said something that blew my fucking mind the other day. She was like, the only reason we need it in our modern civilization is because of the fuckload of sugar that is in everything, and our teeth would literally rot out of our heads. Yep. So now they're like, oh, let's just put all this in here. And that, okay, this is just our thoughts, guys. You know, no fact, no.
Don't at me.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, sound and vibration, which we know is, you know, hertz frequencies, stuff like that. So certain frequencies, such as sound waves, particularly binaural beats, or chanting, like mantras like Kundalini yoga, are thought to stimulate the pineal gland, facilitating the awakening and the expansion of consciousness. I don't think that is a coincidence that, you know, that yoga practice can be part of what helps you astral project and also has to do with your pineal gland.
I also want to say that one time when I was in that shop, and I think a shaman, I think it was, he was doing something. He had like that chant, he like, roam.
Yeah.
And then it made me go into horrible menstrual cramps. Like I was just fine. Then I was like bent over and I had to leave the shop.
Oh no.
And then it got better.
Oh.
Like I don't know what he was projecting out, but
maybe it's not for you. It helps him, but
for me.
Not for you. Oh my God. Okay, so throughout history, the pineal gland has been symbolically represented in various cultures. Ancient Egyptians. The pineal gland is often associated with the Eye of Horus.
How do they know about that?
Exactly.
Just saying.
An ancient Egyptian symbol representing protection, royal power, and health.
Oh.
The shape of the Eye of Horus bears a striking resemblance to the shape of the pineal gland and cross-section, suggesting that the ancient Egyptians understood its spiritual significance. Also in Hinduism and Buddhism, in both traditions, the third eye is a key symbol for spiritual awakening and enlightenment. It represents the ability to see beyond ordinary reality and attain a higher state of consciousness, aligning closely with the role of the pineal gland in modern spiritual teachings. And here's what was interesting. In esoteric Christianity, In some Christian mysticisms, the pineal gland is linked to the concept of divine light and Christ consciousness.
Oh.
It is thought to be the means through which individuals can connect their higher self and divine, allowing them to experience the kingdom of God within. So again, I think it's all kind of the same thing, just different people's perception of it. But at the end of the day, it sounds like you're awakening into what is unknown, what we don't have access to on our actual physical plane. And then also in theosophy and the occultism. Various occult traditions, the pineal gland is often referred to as spiritual Etna. Receiving the transmitting spiritual energy, it's believed that awakening the pineal gland can lead to greater physical... can lead to greater Why is my brain just like...
This is a long one.
Psychic. So why I was reading it, like, why can't my brain say it? Psychic awareness, and access the Akashic records. So, in conclusion, it's your third eye, essentially.
Yeah.
So is
interesting though, because I never knew it was called. Like, I didn't know the third eye was the pineal.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
It's super weird. I have one more thing I want to leave with. So this is from a screenshot Kylie sent me the other day. It said, different studies indicate the pineal gland calcification was significantly associated with age, sex, low altitude, low sunlight exposure, ethnicity, light, cell phone, fluoride intake, nutrition, and neurodegenerative disease. And then Kylie said, and this is a direct quote from her, she points out age. So the older we get, the more separated we become from the spiritual world. Our pineal gland naturally calcifies over time. Sex. Not sure what they're implying, but she's thinking maybe they mean less sex calcifies pineal gland potentially. Low sunlight. Why we have to work to survive, to keep away from the sun, unnatural light. Another reason why we're forced in a building for over 40 hours a week. Cell phones. Why people are becoming delusional and addicted to and self-absorbed. Fluoride, shown to actually calcify the pineal gland. Nutrition, why they're okay with feeding us straight up garbage and poison.
Yep.
And neurodegenerative disease, why our society seems to just not care about mental health and well-being.
For real. God, she's so good. She's so intelligent.
I know.
Go Kylie. Like, that is just so true. Like, and all those are spot on.
Yeah.
Like, as 100%. Like, yeah. They took away so much of the stuff that as our ancestors needed, we do not have anymore.
So
to connect, to be close. And if you notice, when you look at like Native American culture, or you look at our ancestors, like when they're back, when they were closer to all the nature and things like that, they had so many more stories and experiences.
Yep.
Look at the cave dwellings and what they write on there.
Yep. So, coincidence?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I feel really solidified.
Yeah.
After listening to this, I think that astral projection is very much a real thing. And I think sleep paralysis is a level. But I also think with sleep paralysis that when you're in that, some things can come and attach themselves
100%.
to you. It's a very real thing, you know? 100%. But it's too many likenesses of what me and you know and what we've been told, you know?
Yeah. So. It was insane researching it and then being like, oh, like, I remember finding this out or being told this or like, so I literally could have just gone down more and more rabbit holes with this one. It was very long and
I love that you pulled in the science. I really do, because it's like just interesting to me, because it's like what, you know, with the fact that age, right? Well, babies looking up in the corner, they see things so much more than when you're older. You know? So
I think this was from that channel that I found, the YouTube channel about astral projection, and he said the reason why babies come in crying is not because, you know, they're like, it's not out of like excitement, it's because it's such a shock to come from the astral realm to have all these limitations. And I was like, that's interesting. I mean, they could be crying because they're babies too, you know, babies cry. But I thought that was interesting. I'm like, okay, I could see that. Like that would be jarring.
I have a friend that literally he says he has a very vivid memory of being in the clear like nursery thing in the hospital, thinking, well, why am I in here?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Diana is also someone who can recall things from my baby. Yeah. Like exact details.
Yeah.
Her parents were like, what?
Yeah.
How did you even know that?
It's crazy.
And I find it interesting that she also accidentally astral projected. So
people have gifts.
I agree.
But then they kind of move away from them.
And I also see it does seem to be a lot of people with traumas. And I think that it kind of opens a part that other people may not have opened.
I think when you have a lot of your safety taken away from you and stuff, you just kind of, I think it does open a lot in your brain.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
You know? So it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
I thought it was a really
This is a really cool one.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it.
So don't try to astral project tonight.
Yeah. Or if you've done it, if you feel comfortable, I want to end with...
Come see me. No, I'm just kidding.
I do want to end with the title of the interview I was talking about the firefighter who had the near-death experience. His name is Bill Letson. He had his near-death experience in 1994. And Alan Chapman interviewed him, and you can find the full interview on YouTube. And the title is "Man Dies and Learns We Have It Completely Backwards."
Yes, I love it. It's such a
it's so good
video.
Yeah. And he basically says, I won't say all of it, but, you know, we're doing it backwards of like everybody fears death. And it's not that you should be like, you know, oh, let me die.
Oh, come on,
but
die.
He's like, it's not a scary
thing.
It's, you know, can be beautiful. So,
yes.
And this is just our little journey on Earth and getting to feel what a human body feels like. Yeah. From what it sounds like and from what we've been told.
On to another level, or we go on to do another human body.
Or,
like,
we come back.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
During that night, I left my body. And I found myself flying through this star-filled realm. Every time I tell this story, I just start smiling. Because it all comes back. But yeah, I was flying through this star-filled realm, and there were all these magnificent stars, orbs all around me, and they were so welcoming, and it was like I was being paraded through, and all I felt was everything a human ever wants to feel. Just acceptance and love and joy and being held. And all those things, all those negative things that we have about ourselves, they were gone. They were absolutely gone. Things like, anger and resentment or spite or jealousy. In my opinion, those emotions do not travel with us. They stay here. They're tools for us to learn from. So anyway, I was flying through this star-filled realm, feeling absolutely ecstatic, like a cosmic orgasm. And it wasn't just an explosion. That was a full-time vibe. That is what we come from. We get glimpses of it here when we score the winning touchdown, or we get that job we wanted, or get the girl, and all these victories, as you roll them all into one, times it by 1,000,000, that is your vibration. So yeah, we come down here to push against this really dense, harsh vibrations. And it's really a wonderful gift. It really is. I'm cruising along, and there was a cosmic orgasm, just continuous, and I felt like I'd been released from a hot, dark closet. And I was this huge, expanded cloud, a huge, expanded balloon. It seemed like I went out forever. And the thing that I kept saying while I was flying along and I was enjoying everything, and I kept saying, how in the world did I believe I was this dude? It was such a crazy trick that I was this person. And I had all these good points and bad points and buttons, we all have them, emotional buttons that are going to send me into whatever depression. And they were gone. All that was gone. And that remained with the person that was Bill Letson. And I had full knowledge of Bill Letson's entire life and knew all the details. And I didn't want anything to do with it. And I like him. He's a good guy. But I didn't want anything to do with it. The thought of going back was out of the question. I was well aware that my body was behind, and it was like a banana peel. What are you going to do with a banana peel? Throw it away. And that's what it felt like. So I was flying along, and then all of a sudden I landed. I landed in a place that was solid. It had indirect lighting, and there were gurneys around, and there was equipment that was hanging from the ceiling. It was like a facility or a clinic or something. And right in front of me there were beings. There were these 3 short little hooded guys, and they looked exactly like those beings in the movie Communion. The guys I saw, they were in front of me. They had big smiles on their face, and they had these dark hoods and squatty little bodies. And one woman wrote to me, and she said, I was taken by these many times as a kid. And she goes, I called them the Warthog Men. The Warthog Men have come and taken me. And she said, when I saw that movie Communion, I dropped my popcorn. And says that they looked exactly like that. And I've gotten a number of emails from people saying, thank you for doing this, because I thought it was just mine. So anyway, yeah, they look kind of, I don't know, creepy is the right word, but they look different. But for me, they were sweethearts. And they were saying things like, how was it? What did you learn? What can you tell us? And I was extremely confused. All of a sudden, I was in this place with these beings from a cartoon, basically. And one of them stepped forward, and he took a long look at me, and then he turned to the other 2, and he said, he doesn't remember us. And they all started giggling. And I was like, well, guys, I'm having a little trouble. All of a sudden, things are very strange from my perspective, and I kind of remember you, but give me a little time. And they were giggling and bouncing around, and they were wonderful. And then there was this other guy, and he was sort of in charge. He was kind of in the background. He came forward, and he was this tall, wispy guy, and he had this incredible ecstatic smile. His eyes were open, his eyebrows were up, and he had this wonderful smile and laugh. And he was obviously in charge, but he was the best boss anybody could ever have. He wasn't, very strict at all. When he came forward towards me, my throat just tightened and my chest expanded, and I thought I was going to break down in uncontrollable crying from love. There was so much love pouring from this being that it was overwhelming. It was paralyzing. And I just loved it. I loved those guys. He was cool. There was some back and forth stuff. And every time I said something, he had this chuckle. I could feel it inside of me. He had this laugh. I got the impression that, looking at it from a third person, that was a relationship between a father and a child.